Organic crop planning and rotation. Welcome to lesson 3 of the AfriAiding AgriConnect International Organic Farming Training. This training material focuses on organic crop planning and rotation. It covers the principles of planning, designing crop rotation, soil health management, pest control, and maximizing yields through sustainable organic farming practices. Farmers will learn to plan crop planting from easy crop rotation that enhances biodiversity, prevents pests and diseases, and maintain long-term soil fertility. Modules: Introduction to Organic Crop Planning, Principles of Crop Rotation in Organic Farming, Factors Influencing Crop Rotation Design, Crop Rotation and Soil Health, Designing crop rotation for pest and disease management, cover crop and green manure in crop rotation, practical crop rotation planning, common challenges in organic crop rotation, and conclusion. Compiled and presented by Gladys Dalum, USDA NOP EU Organic Operations Expert. Module 1: Introduction to Organic Crop Planning. What is crop planning? Organic crop planning is the intentional arrangement of crops on a farm to ensure productivity, sustainability, and environmental health without relying on synthetic inputs like chemical fertilizers, pesticides, or herbicides. It involves organizing the timing, diversity, and placement of crops to promote long-term soil fertility, minimize pest and disease outbreaks, and optimize market yields. Key objectives of crop planning: to maximize production, efficient use of land and labor to get the most output while maintaining soil health. 2. Sustainability, long-term maintenance of soil fertility and environmental balance can be achieved by crop planning. 3. Biodiversity, planting a variety of crops to increase resilience against pests and diseases can help maintain soil fertility. 4. Market alignment, ensure crops meet consumer demand, and timing them to maximize market values can be achieved through crop planning. Key elements of crop planning. 1. Understanding your soil. Soil testing. Assess soil fertility, pH and structure to plan appropriate crop selection and necessary soil amendments. Soil fertility management. Use of organic inputs such as compost, green manures, and cover crops can help to improve soil health and provide essential nutrients. 2. Crop rotation. Breaking pest cycle. Rotate crops to disrupt pest and disease cycles. Nutrient balance. Alternate between heavy feeders such as corn and nitrogen-fixing plants such as cowpea to naturally replenish soil nutrients. Diversity. Increase biodiversity by planting different crop family in sequence over the years to prevent soil depletion. 3. Choosing the right crop. Crop planning can help you understand the climate and soil compatibility, which will help you in selecting plants or crops that grow well in your local climate and soil type. Market demand. Crop planning helps you to be able to choose crops that grow and have a market demand, especially if they fetch a premium as organic produce. It also helps you to be able to choose crops based on the planting season. You will be able to plan for optimal planting times based on crop requirements and local growing conditions. 4. Companion planting. Planting beneficial plant combinations. Crop planning can help you to choose plants that support each other, such as legumes that fixes nitrogen for heavy feeders or flowers that attract beneficial insects for biodiversity. Pest control. Planning your crops can help you to deter pests from prevailing in your farm. 5. Succession planting. Continuous harvest. Crop planning can help you to stagger planting dates to ensure multiple harvests throughout the growing season. It can also help you to maximize space by planting quick maturing crops between slower growing ones to optimize land use. 6. Weed, pest and disease management. Cultural practices. Use crop rotation, mulching and mechanical weeding to manage weeds. Natural pest control. Implement strategies like companion planting, attracting beneficial insects, or using organic pesticides. Disease prevention. Avoid disease buildup by maintaining soil health, selecting resistant varieties, and ensuring crop rotation. These can be achieved by planning your crop planting. 7. Water management. Efficient irrigation. Plan for irrigation systems that conserve water, such as drip irrigation, and use mulching to retain moisture. Rainwater harvesting. Incorporate sustainable water use practice to reduce reliance on external sources. 8. Record keeping. Track inputs and outputs. Record Keep records of crops grown, inputs used such as fertilizers, compost, etc., yields and pest control measures. Certification compliance. Maintaining documentation for organic certification audits, including seed sources and crop management practices, can all be achieved by crop planning. 9. Buffer zones. Crop planning can help you in preventing contamination because you'll be able to plant buffer zones between organic and non-organic fields to avoid cross-contamination from synthetic chemicals. Importance of strategic planning in organic farming. Unlike conventional systems, organic farming does not rely on external chemical inputs to correct fertility or pest issues. Crop planning ensures that soil fertility is built and maintained through natural processes. Pests are controlled by ecological strategies, and resources are used efficiently. A solid crop plan integrates biodiversity, seasonality, and market demand, leading to increased yields, improved soil health, and better overall farm management. Module 2. Principles of crop planning and rotation in organic farming. Principles of crop planning and rotation in organic farming. Crop planning and rotation are foundational to organic farming. They aim to improve soil health, reduce pests and diseases, and enhance farm sustainability without relying on synthetic chemicals. The following principles guide effective crop planning and rotation. 1. Diversity. Maximizing biodiversity. Introducing a variety of crops in rotational system promotes biodiversity, which strengthens ecosystems and reduces pest and disease pressure. Different crops attract beneficial insects and organisms that naturally manage pests and improve soil health. Rotation of crop families. Crops from different botanical families should be rotated to avoid the buildup of pests and diseases that tend to specialize in one type of plant. 2. Nutrient management. Nutrient cycling. Rotation of crops that consume varying amounts of nutrients help balance soil fertility. Heavy feeding crops like corn should be followed by light feeding crops like root vegetables or nitrogen fixing crops like legumes to restore nutrients. Maintaining soil fertility. Crop planning should incorporate legumes and cover crops that fixes nitrogen or contribute organic matter, ensuring ongoing soil fertility. The third principles for crop planning and rotation in organic farming is soil health and structure. Soil building crops. Crops with deep root systems such as legumes and grasses improves soil structure and increases organic matter, which helps retain moisture and nutrients. Cover cropping. Cover crops like clover, lap, cowpea, right? Between main crops protects the soil from erosion, improves soil structure and boosts organic content. Pest and disease management. Breaking pest and disease cycles. Crop rotation disrupts the life cycle and pathogens by rotating crops that are not susceptible to the same problems. For example, a root crop may be followed by a leafy crop to prevent soil-borne diseases from proliferating. Intercropping and companion planting. Planting certain crops together or in succession can deter pests and diseases while encouraging beneficial insects and pollinators. 5. Water and climate adaptation. Water efficiency. Crop planning should consider crops' water needs to prevent stress. Water-intensive crops can be grown during wet seasons, while drought-resistant varieties can be rooted for dry periods. Adapting to climate. Selecting crops for rotations that suit local climate conditions, which may vary annually due to climate change. Diverse crops rotations provides flexibility and resilience. 6. Market and economic considerations. Profitability and market demand. Planning crops based on market trends ensures that farmers grow high demand crops, maximizing profitability. Rotations should include both high value and soil enriching crops. Continuous production. Crop planning ensures target planting times, which maintains a consistent harvest throughout the growing season, increasing market opportunities. 7. Regulatory and certification compliance. Meeting organic certification requirements. Many organic certification bodies such as USDA Organic or EU Organic require proper crop rotation to ensure sustainable land use. Crop planning should comply with these standards to maintain certification. 8. Labor and resource efficiency. Balancing labor demands. Effective crop planning spreads labor requirements evenly across the year, avoiding peak pressures. It ensures efficient use of farm resources like manpower, machinery, and irrigation. By following these principles, organic farmers can design crop plans and rotations that improve farm resilience, optimize nutrient use, and ensures long-term sustainability. Module 3. Factors influencing crop rotation design. Several key factors influence how organic farmers plan crops and design rotations. These factors determine the sustainability, productivity, and efficiency of an organic farming system. Understanding these factors is essential to creating a successful crop plan and rotation strategy. Effective crop planning and rotation design depends on understanding these diverse factors. balancing soil health, market demand, pest control, water use, and labor needs allows organic farmers to create a sustainable, productive, and resilient farming system. By taking a holistic approach to these factors, farmers can optimize their crop choices for long-term success. Soil health and nutrient management, soil type and fertility. The composition and fertility of the soil heavily influences crop choice and rotation. Sandy, clay or loamy soils affect water retention, nutrient availability and root penetration, dictating which crops are best suited for specific fields. Nutrient requirements. Different crops have varying nutrient needs. Heavy feeders, for example corn, deplete the soil faster and should be followed by crops that replenish nutrients such as legumes that fixes nitrogen. Crop rotation balances nutrient usage across seasons to avoid depletion. Organic matter levels. Maintaining or building organic matter through cover cropping or green manure is essential for improving soil structure and fertility. Climate and weather patterns. Seasonal variation. The climate, including temperature, rainfall and frost dates dictates which crops can be grown in each season. Warm season crops thrive in summer, while cool season crops are more suitable for spring and fall. Climate change and variability. Unpredictable weather patterns caused by climate change requires flexible crop planning and the use of resilient crops that can withstand drought, heat or excessive rainfall. Water availability and irrigation. Rainfall. The natural availability of water from rain is a major factor in crop planning. Farmers may plant water-intensive crops for the rainy season and drought-resistant crops for dry periods. Irrigation systems. Access to irrigation allows for more flexibility in crop rotation, but it's important to plan rotation that optimizes water usage and prevents excessive depletion of water resources. Rainfall. The natural availability of water from rain is a major factor in crop planning. Farmers may plant water-intensive crops for the rainy season and drought-resistant crops for dry periods. A list of such crops is obtainable in the Google Classroom. Irrigation systems. Access to irrigation allows for more flexibility in crop rotation, but it's important to plan rotations that optimizes water usage and prevents excessive depletion of water resources. Crop susceptibility. Different crops are prone to specific pests and diseases. Rotating crops that do not share the same vulnerabilities can break pest and disease cycles, reducing the need for intervention. Local pest dynamics. The history of pest outbreak in a given area influences crop planning. Farmers must avoid planting crops that attract prevalent pests without proper rotation strategies. Market demand and economic considerations. Profitability. Crop planning should be aligned with market demand. High value crops may be prioritized during peak market times, while lower value but soil enriching crops, for instance legumes, are used to maintain soil fertility. Consumer trends. Consumer preference for organic, locally grown or seasonal products affects the choice of crops. Growing crops that meet these demands ensures marketability and profitability. Input cost. The cost of seeds, labor, equipment and other resources can influence crop choices. Farmers may choose low input crops for some rotations to balance overall production costs. Labor availability and capacity. Seasonal labor requirements. Some crops are labor intensive, especially during planting and harvest times. Crop planning must consider labor availability to ensure that crops requiring intensive care are not grown simultaneously. Machinery and equipment. The type and availability of machinery can also affect crop choices. For instance, a farm with specialized harvesting equipment may focus on crops that can be efficiently processed while existing tools. Farm size and field layout. Farm scale. The size of the farm determines how diverse the crop rotation can be. Larger farms can manage more complex rotations across different fields, while smaller farms may focus on simpler, more manageable rotations. Same goes with the soil you use in your pots, in your sacks, and the marked out space you have in your little gardens. Field typography and layout. The physical features of a farm such as slope, drainage patterns and exposure to sunlight which affect crops are suitable for each field. Some crops may do better on higher grounds or in a well-drained area, while others thrive in lower, wetter regions. Crop characteristics and growth cycle. Growth duration. Crops with short or long growing season affect the timing and subsequent plantings. Fast growing crops allows for multiple plantings per year, while slow growing crops may only fit one rotation per season. Root structure. Deep rooted crops such as legumes improve soil structure and bring nutrients up from deeper soil layers. Shallow rooted crops may follow deep rooted ones to prevent soil compaction. Crop compatibility. Some crops work well in sequence or together in intercropping systems due to complementary growth habits, nutrient needs or pest resistance. Organic certifications and regulatory requirements. Certification standards. Organic regulations such as those from the USDA or EU Organic mandate specific crop rotation practices to preserve soil health and prevent pest buildup. Farmers must plan rotations that align with these certifications requirements. Buffer zones. Organic farmers may need to leave specific areas fallow or plant buffer zones to separate them from non-organic farming practices influencing crop planning. Environmental and ecological goals. Erosion control. Crop planning must address areas prone to erosion, especially on slopes. Cover crops and deep-rooted plants can reduce soil erosion and improve soil stability. Biodiversity and habitat creation. Integrating biodiversity into crop planning, such as planting hedgerows, cover crops, or habitat strips can promote beneficial wildlife and improve pollination and pest control. Module 4. Crop rotation and soil health. Crop rotation plays a fundamental role in maintaining and enhancing soil health, which is crucial for sustainable organic farming. By systematically alternating different crops on the same plot of land, farmers can improve soil fertility, structure, and biological diversity while minimizing the negative impacts of pests, diseases, and weeds. Here's a detailed breakdown of how crop rotation supports soil health. Balanced nutrient use. Different crops have different nutrient needs. Some crops, like corn and tomato, are heavy feeders, requiring large amounts of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, while others, like legumes, such as beans and peas, fix nitrogen into the soil. By rotating these crops, farmers can maintain a natural balance in the soil's nutrient content without depleting any specific nutrients. Nitrogen fixation. Leguminous crops such as beans, peas, and clover have the unique ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen into the soil through symbiosis with rhizobial bacteria. Including nitrogen-fixing crops in a rotation replenishes nitrogen, reducing the need for external inputs like organic fertilizers. Organic matter accumulation. Certain crops, especially cover crops like rye, clover, and buckwheat, contribute organic matter to the soil as they decompose. Organic matter improves soil structure, enhances water retention, and provides nutrients for future crops. Root systems and soil aeration, improving soil structure. Different crops have varying root depths and structures. For instance, deep-rooted crops like alfalfa or sunflower can penetrate compacted soil layers, breaking them up and allowing better water infiltration and aeration. Shallow-rooted crops like lettuce help maintain surface soil integrity. Rotating deep and shallow-rooted crops enhances the soil structure and prevents compaction. Preventing erosion. Continuous cultivation of the same crop, especially shallow-rooted plants, can lead to soil erosion, particularly on sloped lands. Rotating crops, especially those with strong fibrous root systems or cover crops, help stabilize the soil, reducing the risk of erosion from wind and water. Soil microbial and biological diversity. Enhancing soil microbial activity. Different crops support different microbial communities. For example, legumes promote beneficial nitrogen-fixing bacteria, while grasses support fungi and other microorganisms. Rotating a variety of crops encourages a more diverse soil microbial ecosystem, which in turn supports healthier plant growth. Soil suppressing pathogens. Continuous planting of the same crop can result in the buildup of specific soil-borne pathogens and nematodes. By rotating crops that are not susceptible to the same disease, the population of harmful soil organisms is reduced, allowing for healthier soil overall. Weed suppression. Disrupting weed cycles. Crop rotation helps manage weeds by changing the types of crops grown and the timing of their growth. For example, rotating between crops with different growth habits. For instance, fast-growing crops that shade out weeds versus slow-growing crops can disrupt weed cycles and reduce weed pressure. Additionally, cover crops can smoother weed seeds and prevent their establishment. Smothering effect of cover crops. Certain crops like rye or buckwheat can act as natural weed suppressors by outcompeting weeds for light, water, and nutrients, thereby reducing the seed bank of potential weeds in the soil. pH balancing. Soil pH and nutrient balance. Some crops are more tolerant of acidic or alkaline soils, while others can help modify the pH over time. For example, legumes tend to increase soil pH, making it less acidic, while crops like oats can help lower it. Crop rotation can be used to gradually balance soil pH, ensuring that it remains within an optimal range for a wider variety of plants. Managing nutrient leaching. Continuous cultivation of the same crop can lead to the depletion or overaccumulation of certain nutrients, leading to imbalance in the soil. Crop rotation helps prevent this by varying the nutrient demands of crops, reducing the risk of leaching or depletion. Improved water retention. Crop rotation that includes cover crops and crops with extensive root systems can improve the soil's ability to retain water. Increased organic matter from decomposed plant material enhances the soil capacity to absorb and hold water, reducing the need for irrigation. Drought resistance. Rotating crops with a varying water needs ensures that soil moisture levels are managed effectively. Additionally, organic matter and improved soil structure help retain moisture during dry periods, making the soil more resilient to drought. Pest and disease control. Interrupting pest cycles. Certain pests and diseases thrive when the same crop is planted repeatedly. Crop rotation helps break pest cycles by removing their preferred food source and replacing it with a different crop, reducing the likelihood of pest outbreak. This also diminishes the need for organic pest control measures. Managing soil-borne diseases. Crop rotation helps prevent the buildup of soil-borne diseases such as rot root, blight, or club root, which can persist in the soil if the same crop is planted repeatedly. Rotating crops susceptible to different diseases minimizes the impact of soil health. Module 5: Designing crop plan and rotation for pest and disease management. Effective pest and disease management is one of the critical benefits of strategic crop planning and rotation in organic farming. Unlike conventional systems that rely heavily on chemical pesticides, organic farming uses natural methods, including crop diversity, rotation, and ecological balance to control pests and diseases. The goal of crop rotation in this context is to break the life cycle of pests and pathogens, reduce their population, and promote balanced ecosystem that supports beneficial organisms. Here is a detailed approach to design a crop plan and rotation for pest and disease management. 1. Understanding pest and disease cycles. Pest and disease life cycles. Most pests and diseases are specific to certain crops or plant families. For example, root knot nematodes may target specific crops, and pathogens like Fusarium wilt are common in certain families like Solanaceae. Understanding the life cycle of these organisms allows farmers to disrupt their reproduction and reduce their impact. Host specificity. Many pests and diseases rely on a single host or a group of related crops to survive. By rotating crops with unrelated species, their life cycles are interrupted, reducing pest pressure and the spread of disease. Rotating crop families. Avoiding continuous cultivation of related crops. Pests and diseases often target entire botanical families such as the Brassicaceae, like cabbage, kale, and broccoli, or Solanaceae, tomato, peppers, eggplants. To manage pests and diseases, it's crucial to avoid planting crops from the same family in the same location season after season. A minimum of 3 to 4 years between planting the same family in the same area is recommended to reduce pest buildup. Examples of crop families rotation. Legumes, Fabaceae, such as beans, peas, and lentils. Brassicaceae, cabbage, kale, broccoli, cauliflower. Cucurbitaceae, cucumbers, squash, melons. Solanaceae, tomato, peppers, eggplants, potatoes. Poaceae, grasses like corn, wheat, oats, and rye. Non-host crops. By rotating non-host crops, that is, crops that pests or pathogens cannot affect, farmers reduce pest and diseases production, allowing the soil to rest from specific pest pressure. 3. Incorporating resistant varieties. Pest-resistant crop varieties. Where possible, choosing crop varieties that are resistant to specific pests or diseases adds an extra layer of protection. While crops rotation reduces pest population, resistant varieties provide inbuilt protection against remaining pests or diseases. Disease-resistant varieties. Similarly, disease-resistant crop varieties can help prevent outbreaks of common pathogens. Combining resistant varieties with rotation can dramatically reduce the need for external pest control measures. 4. Disrupting pest life cycles. Disrupting overwintering pests. Some pests overwinter in the soil or plant debris. For instance, root maggots lay eggs in the soil near host plants, and these eggs may hatch the following season. By rotating away from susceptible crops, pests that overwinter do not find suitable food, reducing their population. Timing crop planting. Changing the planting schedule for certain crops can also help disrupt pest life cycles. Planting early or late to avoid peak pest population can be very effective strategy in crop planning. 5. Breaking disease cycles. Preventing disease buildup. Soil-borne diseases like fusarium wilt or club rot can persist in the soil if the same crop or related crops are grown continuously. Rotating crops from different families that are not susceptible to these diseases interrupt the pathogen's life cycle, reducing its presence in the soil. Minimizing disease transmission. Many fungal diseases spread through the soil or plant residues. A well-planned rotation that includes crops less susceptible to these diseases reduces the chances of diseases spreading from one season to the next. 6. Integrating cover crops and green manure. Cover crops for pest suppression. Certain cover crops such as mustard or rye have natural properties that suppress pests or diseases. Mustard contains biofumigants that can reduce nematodes population. Rye, as a cover crop, suppresses weeds and creates an environment unfavorable for certain pests. Cover crops for beneficial insects. Cover crops can also attract beneficial insects that prey on pests. For example, planting clover or flowering crops can provide habitat for predatory insects and parasitoids, which help manage pest population. Green manure for soil health. Using green manure such as clover or vetch helps improve soil structure and fertility, while also enhancing microbial diversity. Health soils are better equipped to suppress soil-borne pathogens through competition with beneficial microbes. 7. Creating habitat for beneficial insects. Biodiversity and pest control. A diverse crop rotation plan can encourage a healthy population of beneficial insects that prey on pests. For example, ladybugs controls aphids and certain wasp parasites caterpillars. Increasing plant diversity through rotation or intercropping can provide these beneficial insects with food and habitat, reducing the need for external pest control. Companion planting. Planting pest repellent crops like marigolds which repel nematodes alongside main crops can also be a part of crop planning. These companion plants can help manage pests within a broader rotation strategy. 8. Using trap crops. Trap cropping for pest control. Trap crops are plants that attract pests away from the main crops. For examples, radishes can be planted to attract root maggots, preventing them from attacking other more valuable crops like cabbage. These traps crops are planted either as part of the rotation or as intercrops to protect the main crops. Disposing of traps crops. Once the trap crop have served their purpose, attracting pests, they can be destroyed or removed to eliminate the pest before they cause further damage. 9. Integrating perennial crops. Perennials and soil health. Perennial crops such as fruit trees, shrubs or perennial grasses like vetiver grass can be integrated into crop rotation systems to break pest and disease cycles. Their deep root systems help maintain soil health, and because they remain in place for multiple years, they reduce the need for annual tilling, which can disrupt soil health and structure. Permanent buffers for pest controls. Perennial crops can also serve as buffers between different fields or crop areas, preventing the spread of pests and diseases across the farm. 10. Monitoring and adjusting crop plans. Field monitoring. Continuous observation of pest and disease levels is essential to refine crop rotation plans. Monitoring helps identify areas of higher pest pressure and allows for adjustments in the crop plan, such as introducing more resistant varieties or altering the rotation sequence. Adapting to changes. Pests and diseases may evolve or change in response to crop rotation. Therefore, rotation plans should be flexible, with adjustments made based on observations and new pest or disease threats. Conclusion. Designing a crop plan and rotation for pest and disease management requires understanding the specific pest and disease pressure on the farm, along with the ecology of the crops being grown. By rotating crops from different families, incorporating resistant varieties, using cover crops, and creating habitats beneficial for insects, farmers can be able to drastically create sustainable crop plan for their farms. Objectives of crop planning and rotation management. Enhance soil health. Crop planning and rotation management helps to improve soil structure, fertility and microbial activity. It helps to optimize resources use. Efficient crop management and planning helps to efficiently utilize water, nutrients and labor resources on the farm. Crop management and planning also help to manage pests and diseases breakouts. It breaks the cycles of diseases through diverse cropping systems. Also, crop planning and rotation management helps in maximizing yield and profitability because it aligns with crop selection, market demands, and ensure continuous production. It also helps with sustainability by promoting practices that maintain ecological balance and minimize environmental impact. Steps for designing a crop plan and rotation management. Step 1. Assess farm resources and conditions. Soil testing. Conduct soil tests to determine nutrient levels, pH, organic matter content, and microbial activity. Climate analysis. Understanding the local climate, including growing seasons, rainfall patterns, and temperature ranges. Site assessment. Evaluate the landscape, topography, drainage and microclimates as these factors influence crop suitability. Step 2. Identify goals and objectives. Determine the primary goals for the farm, such as improving soil fertility, maximizing yields, or enhancing biodiversity. Specific Set specific measurable objectives, such as increasing organic matter by a certain percentage or achieving a target yield for each crop. Step 3. Select suitable crops for rotation. Crop diversity. Choose a mix of crops that serve various purposes, such as legumes for nitrogen fixation, deep-rooted crops for soil structure, and cover crops for soil protection. Nutrient needs. Consider the nutrient requirements of each crop. Group heavy feeders, especially corn and tomatoes, with nitrogen fixing crops such as cowpea or peas to create balance. Market demand. Align crop selection with market needs, focusing on high value or in-demand crops. Step 4. Develop crop rotation plans. Rotation design. Create a rotation plan that incorporates different crop families to prevent pest and disease buildup. A typical rotation cycle might last 3 to 4 years and include a variety of crops. Planting dates. Schedule planting and harvest time to maximize growing seasons and align with local climate conditions. Stagger planting dates for continuous harvest. Cover crops. Include cover crops in the rotation to improve soil health during fallow periods and protect against erosion. Step 5. Incorporate manure and organic amendments. Use well-aged manure and organic fertilizers to enhance soil fertility and structure. Apply these amendments according to soil test recommendations. Consider applying manure before planting cover crops or after harvesting to optimize nutrient availability for subsequent crops. 6. Implement pest and disease management strategies. Crop rotation for pest control. Design rotations that disrupt pest life cycles by planting crops that are not hosts for specific pests. Companion planting. Integrate companion planting techniques within the rotation to enhance pest control and biodiversity. 7. Step 7. Monitor and evaluate crop performance. Regularly monitor crop growth, soil health, and pest population throughout the growing season. Evaluate the effectiveness of the crop rotation plan after each cycle, adjusting practices based on observed outcomes. Sample crop rotation plan. Here is a sample 4-year crop rotation plan for a typical organic farm. Year 1. Spring. In spring, you can plant legumes such as peas or beans to fix nitrogen. Summer follows with heavy feeders such as corn or tomatoes, and fall includes a cover crop after harvest. The second year, spring, plant brassicas such as kale or cabbage to benefit the nitrogen-rich soil. In summer, rotate in crop roots such as carrots or beets, and in fall, plant a legume cover crop such as clover. Year 3. In spring, introduce grains such as barley or oats to improve soil structure. In summer, plant nightshades, for instance, peppers or eggplants. And in fall, incorporate cover crops such as vetch to enhance soil fertility. Then year 4, in spring, return to legumes such as beans to restore nitrogen levels. In summer, follow a mix of diverse crops such as squash or zucchini. And in fall, use of cover crops such as buckwheat to prevent erosion and improve soil health. Challenges in crop planning and rotation management. Labor management. Balancing labor needs throughout the growing season can be challenging. Consider planning schedules and crop requirements to distribute labor effectively. Weather variability. Unpredictable weather patterns can affect crops' growth and yields. Diversifying crop selection can help mitigate such risks. Market fluctuations. Change in market demand may require adjustment to the crop rotation plan. Stay informed about market trends and consumer preferences. Conclusion. Designing a crop plan and rotation management system is essential for the success of any organic farm. By assessing resources, selecting suitable crops, and implementing effective rotation practices, farmers can enhance soil health, optimize nutrient use, and improve pest management. Regular monitoring and evaluation will ensure the adaptability and sustainability of the crop rotation system, contributing to the long-term success of organic farming. Module 6: Cover crops and green manures in crop rotation. Cover crops and manure in crop rotations. Integrating cover crops and manure into crop rotations is a vital practice in organic farming that enhances soil health, improves nutrient cycling, and supports sustainable agricultural practices. This section explores the benefit of cover crop and manures, their role in crop rotations, and practical implementation strategies. Cover crops and manures in crop rotations. 1. Understanding cover crops. Cover crops are plants grown primarily for the protection and enrichment of soil rather than for direct harvest. They play a significant role in organic farming by improving soil structure, preventing erosion, enhancing nutrient availability, and suppressing weeds and pests. Benefits of cover crops. Soil protection. Cover crops protect the soil from erosion caused by wind and water, particularly during fallow periods. Their root system stabilizes the soil and reduces surface runoff. Nutrient cycling. Many cover crops, especially legumes, fix atmospheric nitrogen, enriching the soil with these essential nutrients. This can reduce the need for synthetic fertilizers. Organic matter improvement. When cover crops decompose, they add organic matter to the soil, enhancing soil structure, water retention, and microbial activity. Weed suppression. Dense cover crop growth can suppress weeds by outcompeting them for light, water, and nutrients, reducing the need for mechanical weeding. Pest management. Certain cover crops can attract beneficial insects that control pests or disrupt the life cycles of specific pests. 2. Types of cover crops. Different cover crops serve various purposes in a crop rotation plan. Here are some commonly used types. Leguminous cover crops. Examples includes clover, vetch, and peas. They fix nitrogen in the soil, improving fertility. Grasses, rye, oats, and barley enhance soil structure, prevents erosion, and improves organic matter content. Brassicas, mustard, and radish are effective at breaking up compacted soil, reducing pests, and improving soil health through biofumigation. Mixed cover crops. A combination of legumes and grasses can provide a range of benefits, enhancing soil health through diverse root systems and nutrient contributions. 3. Understanding manure. Manure is an organic fertilizer derived from animal waste, which can significantly improve soil health and fertility when used correctly. It provides essential nutrients, improves soil structure, and increases microbial activity. Benefits of manure. Nutrient supply. Manure supplies micronutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and micronutrients are essential for plant growth. Improved soil structure. Organic matter in manure enhances soil aggregation, improving aeration, water infiltration, and drainage. Microbial activity boost. Manure enriches the soil with beneficial microbes, aiding in nutrient cycling and organic matter decomposition. Pathogen suppression. Well-managed manure applications can help suppress soil-borne pathogens through increased microbial diversity. 4. Integrating cover crops and manure into crop rotations. The integration of cover crops and manure into crop rotations can create a synergistic relationships that enhances overall soil health and productivity. Here are some strategies for effective integration. A. Preceding main crops with cover crops. Planting cover crops. Following a main crop with a cover crop can protect the soil during fallow periods and improve nutrient availability. For instance, planting a leguminous cover crop after a heavy feeder like corn can replenish nitrogen levels. Timing. Cover crops should be planted at the right time to maximize their growth. For example, winter cover crops can be sown after the last harvest, providing protection through the winter months. B. Using manure as a soil amendment. Timing of manure application. Incorporating manure before planting cover crops can enrich the soil, while applying it after cover crops have been terminated can enhance nutrient availability for the subsequent main crop. Application rate. The amount of manure applied should be based on soil nutrient test, and crop needs to avoid over-application, which can lead to nutrient runoff and environmental issues. C. Incorporating cover crops into manure management. Cover crops after manure. Following manure applications with cover crops can enhance nutrient uptake, reduce nutrient runoff, and improve soil health. Nitrogen scavengers. Planting cover crops with high nitrogen uptake potential like rye after manure application can prevent nitrogen leaching during heavy rainfall, retaining nutrients in the soil. While integrating cover crops and manure into cover crop rotation offers numerous benefits, several challenges should be considered. Management complexity. Managing cover crops and manure requires careful planning and knowledge of crop nutrient needs, growth cycles, and soil conditions. Labor and resources. Additional labor and resources may be needed for planting and managing cover crops as well as for handling manure. Regulatory compliance. Ensure that manure applications complies with local regulations regarding nutrient management and organic certification standards. Soil testing. Regular soil testing is essential to determine nutrient needs and avoid over-application of manure. Practical steps for implementation. To effectively implement cover crops and manure in crop rotations, farmers can follow these practical steps. 1. Soil testing. Conduct soil tests to determine nutrient levels and identify deficiencies. 2. Choose suitable cover crops. Select cover crops based on local climate, soil type, and the goals of the rotation plan. 3. Plan crop sequences. Design crop rotation plans that integrate cover crops and manure effectively, taking into account timing and nutrient requirements. 4. Monitor growth and health. Regularly assess the growth of cover crops and monitor soil health to adjust practices as necessary. 5. Educate and train. Provide training for farmers on the benefits and management of cover crops and manure in organic rotations. Conclusion: integrating cover crops and manure into crop rotations enhances soil health, improves nutrient cycling, and promotes sustainable practices in organic farming. By carefully selecting cover crops and managing manure applications, farmers can build resilient agricultural systems that enhances productivity while preserving environmental integrity. This approach will not only support crop growth but also contribute to the long-term sustainability of organic farming practices. Module 7: Practical Crop Rotation Planning. Practical crop planning. Practical crop planning is a fundamental aspect of successful organic farming. It involves a systematic approach of selecting and scheduling crops to optimize production while maintaining environmental sustainability. This section outlines the steps and considerations for effective practical crop planning, including tools and resources for farmers. Goals of practical crop planning. Practical crop planning can help farmers to maximize yields by increasing overall farm productivity through optimal crop selection and timing. It can also ensure sustainability because it helps in maintaining soil health, biodiversity, and ecosystem balance. It helps farmers and farms to align with market demand, produce crops that meet consumer needs and preferences. And lastly, it helps in the management of resources effectively. Practical crop planning helps farmers to optimize the use of labor, water, nutrients, and inputs. Steps for practical crop planning. Step 1: assess farm resources. Assessing farm resources such as soil testing, climate evaluation, and land assessment can help the farmers make good plans. Soil testing. Conduct soil tests to understand nutrient levels, pH, organic matter content, and texture. This information will guide crop selection and amendments. For climate evaluation, farmers can analyze local climate data, including temperature ranges, rainfall patterns, and frost dates. This will help determine the best crops for the growing season. And lastly, land assessment. Farmers will be able to consider the topography, drainage, and microclimates of their farms to identify areas suitable for specific crops. Identify market opportunities. Research demand. Farmers need to investigate local market trends, consumer preferences, and pricing for various crops. These can involve surveys, attending farmers markets, or discussing with local buyers and peer-to-peer farms. Select high-value crops. To identify market opportunities, farmers can prioritize crops that have strong market demand and potential for profitability, considering factors such as yield, growth duration, and production cost. Developing a crop rotation plan. Crop selection. Choose a diverse mix of crops that can complement each other and address soil health needs. Include legumes for nitrogen fixation, deep root crops for soil structure, and cover crops for erosion control. Plan rotation cycles. Design a multi-year crop rotation that includes different plant families to maximize disease and pest issues. Typically, cycles can last between 3 to 5 years. Timing and scheduling. Planning, planting and harvesting dates to optimize growing seasons, stagger planting for continuous harvest, and aligning with market availability can help in a crop rotation plan. Develop a crop rotation plan. Step 4: incorporate cover crops and organic amendments. Select cover crops Choose appropriate cover crops based on your rotation plan. For instance, plant legumes after a cash crop to fix nitrogen for the next crop. Use organic amendments. Integrate compost manure or green manures into your planning to enhance soil fertility and structure. Adjust application rates based on soil test and crop needs. Step 5. Monitor and adjust. Regularly monitoring. Keep track of crop health, growth rates, and pest population throughout the growing season. Make adjustments as needed based on observations. Evaluate performance. After each season, review the performance of crops based on yields, labor requirements, and market success. Adjust future crop plans accordingly. Tools and resources for crop planning. Crop planning softwares. You can use digital tools and apps that help with crop planning, scheduling, and record keeping. Some popular options include FarmLogs, Crop Planner, and Agrian. Field maps. Create detailed maps of your farm to identify different plots and track crop rotations, cover crops, and amendments. Farm mapping is a project in this training. Soil test reports. Use soil test results to inform decisions about crop selections, amendments, and planting schedules. Market research. Utilize local extensive services, agricultural universities, and farmer cooperatives for market insights and advice on crop selection. Considerations for practical crop planning. Biodiversity. Promote biodiversity by incorporating a wide range of crops to support beneficial insects and improve pest resistance. Pest and disease management. Use crop rotation to disrupt pest and disease cycles and consider companion planting to enhance natural pest control. Water management. Plan for efficient irrigation practices, ensuring that water-intensive crops are scheduled according to local rainfall patterns. Labor management. Assess labor requirements for each crop and plan planting and harvesting to balance labor needs throughout the growing season. A practical crop planning template. Here's a sample of 4-year crop rotation for typical organic farm. Year 1, spring. Plant legumes, for instance, peas or beans, to fix nitrogen. In summer, you follow up with heavy feeders such as corn or tomatoes, and in fall, include a cover crop such as rye after harvest. Year 2, spring. You plant brassicas such as kale or cabbage to benefit from the nitrogen-rich soil. In summer, you rotate in root crops such as carrots or beets, and in fall, plant, plant a legume cover crop such as clover. In year 3, spring, introduce grains such as barley or oats to improve soil structure. Then in summer, plant nightshades such as peppers or eggplants, and in fall incorporate a cover crop such as vetch to enhance soil fertility. And lastly, in the 4th year, in spring, return to legumes as in the first year to restore nitrogen levels. In summer, follow with a mix of diverse crops such as squash or zucchini, and in fall you use a cover crop such as buckwheat to prevent erosion and improve soil health. Conclusion. Practical crop planning is crucial for the success of organic farming. By assessing resources, understanding market demands, and developing effective crop rotation strategies, farmers can enhance productivity, promote soil health, and achieve long-term sustainability. Regular monitoring and adjustments to the crop plan will ensure resilience against challenges, ultimately leading to successful organic farming practices. Module 8. Common challenges in organic crop rotation. Common challenges in organic crop rotation. While crop rotation is a foundational practice in organic farming, it is not without its challenges. Understanding these challenges can help farmers develop strategies to mitigate them, ensuring more effective and sustainable farming practices. Below are some common challenges associated with organic crop rotation. Common challenges in organic crop rotation can include a disruption of the life cycles of pests and diseases, but certain pests may adapt or find new hosts in the rotated crops. Solution: implement diverse crop rotations and incorporate companion planting to attract beneficial insects that can control pest population, regularly monitor for signs of pest resurgence, and adjust rotation plans as needed. 2. Soil fertility management. Challenge: managing soil fertility over multiple crop cycles can be complex, especially in organic systems where synthetic fertilizers are not used. Solution: use cover crops, compost, and green manures to replenish nutrients and enhance soil structure. Conduct regular soil tests to assess nutrient levels and adjust organic amendments accordingly. 3. Timing and scheduling conflicts. Challenge: coordinating planting and harvesting schedules can be difficult, particularly when managing multiple crops and varieties that require different care. Solution: create a detailed planting calendar that outlines all tasks for each crop, including planting dates, expected harvest windows, and crop-specific care requirements. Flexibility in scheduling can help adapt to weather changes and unforeseen delays. 4. Market fluctuations. Challenges: market demand for certain crops can fluctuate, leading to potential losses if crops do not align with the consumer preference or pricing. Solution: conduct thorough market research before planning rotations. Consider growing diverse crops to hedge against market volatility and establish relationships with local buyers to secure outlets for harvested crops. 5. Labor intensity. Challenge: organic farming is often more labor intensive than conventional farming, especially with the added complexity of crop rotation. Solution: develop a labor management plan that schedules labor needs throughout the season. Training and involving family members or community members can also help distribute labor more evenly. 6. Weed management. Challenge: rotating crops does not eliminate weeds, and some cover crops can become problematic if not managed properly. Solution: utilize mulch, cover crops, and timely mechanical weeding to manage weeds effectively. Implementing a well-timed crop rotation can also help reduce weed pressure by altering the competitive dynamics in the fields. 7. Knowledge gaps. Challenge: some farmers may lack the necessary knowledge or experience in implementing effective crop rotation, leading to ineffective practices. Solution: provide training and resources through workshops, extension services, and peer networking. Collaborating with agricultural experts can also provide valuable insights and tailored recommendations. 8. Adverse weather conditions. Challenge: weather variability, such as drought or excessive rainfall, can disrupt planned crop rotation and affect crop growth. Solution: design rotations that include a mix of drought-resistant and water-loving crops. Develop contingency plans to switch or to alternate crops if weather conditions change significantly. 9. Regulatory compliance. Challenge: maintaining organic certification requires adherence to specific regulations regarding crop rotation and soil management practices. Solution: stay informed about local organic certification requirements and keep detailed records of all practices. Regularly review your crop rotation plans to ensure they align with certification standards. 10. Soil structure and health. Challenge: continuous cropping, even with rotations, can lead to soil compaction and reduce soil health over time. Solution: include deep-rooted cover crops in rotations to improve soil structure and aeration. Regularly assess soil health through testing and adjusting practices to address issues like compaction. Conclusion: despite the challenges associated with organic crop rotation, effective planning and management can significantly enhance the resilience and productivity of organic farming systems. By anticipating potential challenges and implementing strategic solutions, farmers can optimize crop rotation practices to ensure sustainable agricultural production and environmental stewardship. Continuous education and adaptation will play key roles in overcoming these challenges and achieving successful organic farming outcomes. Conclusion: problem-solving charts for diagnosing and addressing rotation-related issues.
Here's an organic crop plan for 4 years for Afro-Eden farms for 2020 to the year 2024. The key principles of this crop plan is first, legumes integration to build nitrogen in the soil. Then we have diversification to prevent pest buildup and crop disease. Then we'll integrate cover crops and organic matter to conserve soil moisture and prevent erosion. And lastly, perennial crops around the buffer zones to improve soil stability and biodiversity. In the first year on this farm, we're going to plant corn as our main crop, cowpea as a secondary crop, and Mucuna velvet bean, Mucuna, which is also known as velvet bean, as the cover crop or vetiver grass. And the objective of doing this is to build organic matter, prevent erosion, fix nitrogen with cowpea. So in the second year, we're going to plant soybean as our main crop, sesame seed as a secondary crop, sun hemp or moringa around the buffer zones. And the purpose of doing that, or the objective of doing that, is to have the soybean and sun hemp to quickly replenish nitrogen, the sesame seed as a drought tolerant crop to improve soil resilience, moringa for shade and soil improvement. Then in the third year, we're going to plant rice in the lowlands as our main crop, okra as our secondary crop, mint or oregano or banana around our buffer zones. And the objective of doing that is that rice in rotation with okra is to be able to help us manage nematodes. Herbs boost biodiversity on the farm. Then in the fourth year, we're going to plant cassava or yam as our main crop, groundnuts as our secondary crop, pigeon pea or hibiscus around our buffer zones. The cassava breaks disease cycles, pigeon pea enriches soil, groundnuts fixes nitrogen. So we have a perfect crop plan for 4 years on this farm. Before we proceed to the problem solving charts for diagnosing and addressing rotation related issues, let's look at the breakdown and recommendation of the plan we just considered. In the first year, maize and cowpea with velvet bean or vetiver grass, and the objective was to introduce maize as a cereal crop intercropped with nitrogen fixing cowpea. The soil health solution it provides is that the velvet bean replenishes organic matter and the vetiver prevents erosion in buffer areas. In the second year, remember we chose soybean as our primary crop with sesame seed and sun hemp or moringa. The objective is to rotate legumes and oil seeds to improve soil fertility and diversify income sources. Cover crops such as sun hemp for fast nitrogen replenishment and moringa for shade and soil improvement. In the third year, we have rice or okra as our main crop with mint, oregano, or banana in our buffer zones. The objective of that was to grow rice in lowland areas while adding okra for crop rotation. Herbs help with pest control, and banana acts as windbreaks around the buffer zones. Water management. Maximize water use with rainwater harvesting and boreholes. In the fourth year, cassava and yam was our main crop. Groundnut with pigeon pea and hibiscus were the other crops on the farm. The objective was to introduce tuber crops to break cereal cycles and reduce disease. Groundnut fixes nitrogen, pigeon pea builds soils fertility and prevents erosion. Perennial crops. Hibiscus enriches biodiversity and offers an additional revenue stream for the farmer. Perennial integration and buffer zones. Plants, vetiver grass, banana, moringa, neem, hibiscus were some of the perennial crops you could see indicated on the plan. And the function of such perennial crops was to act as windbreaks, buffer areas for organic compliance, erosion control, and ecosystem enrichment. Key maintenance practices. 1. Compost application. For every season, add organic compost to replenish nutrients. 2. Mulching. Retain soil moisture and control weeds with organic mulch. 4. Pest management. Use natural pesticides such as neem, chili, and trap crops as we have discussed in earlier lessons. 4. Soil testing. Conduct annual soil tests to monitor fertility and pH. 5. Irrigation and rainwater harvesting, which I had mentioned just briefly earlier, to ensure effective water use through sustainable practices. Expected results at the end of 4 years. After Afri-Eden Farms adopts this plan, the farm expects to have improved soil health, balanced nitrogen levels, organic matter accumulation, and disease control. Secondly, the farm expects to have increased biodiversity, enhancing ecosystems with herbs, legumes, and perennial plants. For pest management, the plan will help in reducing pest and disease pressure through diversified planting. While lastly, for sustainable yields, consistent crop output through natural soil replenishment can be achieved. This plan template ensures a sustainable cycle while maximizing soil health, biodiversity, and crop profitability for smallholder farmers in West Africa.
Problem-solving chart for 4-year organic crop rotation plan. Here's a problem-solving chart based on the 4-year organic crop rotation plan that we have discussed earlier. It outlines potential issues, diagnosis, and organic solutions to ensure smooth farming operations throughout the rotation. This is a template of a crop rotation plan for a farm located in West Africa. So we're going to be talking about crops that can easily be grown in West Africa. Crop and year. Year 1, maize and cowpea. Potential issue: low maize yield, yellowing leaves. Diagnosis: nitrogen deficiency from cowpea nodulation. Solution: apply compost or animal manure foliar feed with fish emulsion. Preventative measures: use nitrogen fixing inoculants on cowpea seeds. Regular mulching. Weed infestation potential issue. Diagnosis: insufficient mulching or fast growing weeds. Solution: increased mulching, hand weed, or use mechanical control. Preventative measures: use cover crops like mokana pea to suppress weeds. Potential issue 3: soil erosion. Diagnosis: heavy rainfall or farming on slopes. Solution: install terraces, plant vetiver grass along slopes. Preventative measures: maintain buffer zones with vetiver grass and reduce tillage. Year 2, soybean and sesame seed are the crops. Potential issue: soybean leaf spots or yellow leaves. Diagnosis: fungal infection or apid attacks. Solution: apply neem oil or organic fungicides and space your plants well. Preventative measures: rotate with non-legumes to break pest cycles. Potential issue 2: poor soil fertility in the second year. Fungal infection, apid attacks. Solution: diagnosis: fungal infection or apid attacks. Solution: apply compost or manure, plant sunheme or cover crops for nitrogen fixation. Preventative measures: perform soil tests, apply green manure crops. Potential problem 3 in year 2: drought stress on sesame seeds. Diagnosis: inadequate water management. Solution: apply mulching to retain moisture, irrigate during dry periods. Preventative measures: plant dry tolerant sesame seeds, use moringa buffers for shades. Year 3: crops, rice and okra. Potential issue: poor rice germination. Diagnosis: waterlogged soil or poor quality seeds. Solution: improve drainage, use certified seeds. Preventative measures: avoid waterlogging by creating raised beds. Prevent potential issue 2, year 3: root knot nematodes on okra. Diagnosis: nematodes infestation. Solution: Use neem cakes or organic nematicides. Plant trap crops such as marigold. Preventative measures: rotate okra with rice or other non-host crops. Potential issue three, year three. Herbs in buffer zones fail to grow. Diagnosis: poor soil preparation or nutrient deficiency. Solution: add compost or manure and ensure proper watering. Preventative measures: establish buffers early and monitor growth regularly. Year four, crops: cassava or yam and groundnuts. Potential issue: stunted cassava growth. Diagnosis: nutrient deficiency or compacted soil. Solution: apply organic fertilizers, loosen soil with cover crops like pigeon pea. Preventative measures: use deep mulching, interplant with legumes. Potential issue two, year four, aflatoxin in groundnuts. Diagnosis: mold contamination from improper drying. Solution: dry groundnuts thoroughly. Use resistant varieties. Preventative measures: improve field drainage, harvest early to avoid moisture buildup. Potential issue three, year four, drought stress on sesame seeds. Diagnosis: continuous cropping without breaks. Solution: plant pigeon pea to loosen soil, perform deep tillage if needed. Preventative measures: rotate tuber crops with legumes to improve soil structure. Additional general solutions: one. Integrated pest management (IPM). Use natural repellents like neem oil, chili sprays and beneficial insects. Two. Soil monitoring. Perform soil tests annually to adjust fertilization strategies. Three. Training and farmer field schools. Educate farmers on crop-specific issues and organic techniques. Four. Water management. Use rainwater harvesting systems and drip irrigation to ensure water availability in dry periods. Benefits of crop planning and rotation for African organic farmers. One. Maximize land use. Crop planning helps farmers to utilize every part of their land efficiently. By mapping out planting schedules and crop types, farmers can avoid leaving land idle and increase overall productivity. Two. Improving soil health. By incorporating crop rotation and cover cropping into their plans, farmers can replenish soil nutrients, enhance soil structure, and increase organic matter, leading to long-term fertility and reduce dependence on fertilizers. Three. Managing pests and diseases. Crop planning involves rotating crops from different families, which breaks pest and disease cycles. This reduces the need for pesticides and promotes a healthier farm ecosystem. Four. Adapting to climate change. Planning crops according to the season and local climate conditions allows for farmers to choose crops that will thrive, such as drought-tolerant varieties in arid regions or water-demanding crops during the rainy season. Five. Boosting market efficiency. Strategic crop planning helps farmers align their production with market demands, ensuring a steady supply of organic products and minimize post-harvest losses by planning staggered planting and harvest schedules. Six. Water conservation. Crop planning includes strategies like mulching, drip irrigation, and rainwater harvesting, which optimizes water use, especially in areas with erratic rainfall. Seven. Reducing cost. Thoughtful crop planning allows farmers to balance input costs like compost seeds or labor by planning nutrient-fixing crops which can lower fertilizer costs and optimizing labor during peak seasons. And lastly, achieving organic certification. By carefully documenting crop rotations, input, input use and pest management, farmers can meet organic certification requirements more easily, opening access to premium markets. Planning lessons for African organic farmers. Crop planning equips African organic farmers with the tools to boost yield, improve soil health, manage resources efficiently, and enhance market competitiveness while maintaining organic standards. Thank you for being a part of this class. See you in lesson 4.